So eventually he takes a few steps away and then he turns around, returns to the table, and he says, okay, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Does anyone have cocaine? Check that out. The clouds at the tops of the mountains there. Never seen the clouds that low. So here's the story from the beginning. Guy got to the table. He bought in for 40. It's 40 minimum at Lake Elsinore 2-3. He bought in for 40. Instantly left. He put 40 in chips on the table in the 7 seat. I was sitting in the 9. He instantly leaves, walks around somewhere. There's not a ton of space. It's not like a full casino. I don't know where he went. Eventually comes back, eventually tops off to 100. Okay. He says, leave the 8 seat open, his friend is coming. All right, it's like decent so far, nothing ridiculous so far. He is so hyper, it's ridiculous. He's like jittery, his like arms are shaking a little. He can't stop talking, he can't sit still. He's getting up over the course of a couple hours. I would say he got up like at least 10 times. I don't know where he's going. Outside to vape, I thought. He's like never really in the chair that long. He's really hyper. He's like clearly on something. It's funny, his friend shows up eventually, and his friend is the exact opposite. They were not doing the same drug. His friend was wearing sunglasses, and I bet when action was on his friend in the 8 seat, it probably looked like he was just thinking about what his action was, because his face was kind of facing the middle of the table, you know, the flop cards. But I'm the only one, because I'm in the 9 and he's just next to me in the 8, I'm the only one who could see behind his sunglasses. His eyes are barely awake. He never knows when it's on him. He's not thinking anything. He doesn't even know where he is. What was also funny about this is that the hyper guy was not playing many hands at all. And the friend was losing all ins all over the place. So the hyper guy was actually pretty tight in terms of poker, and the guy who was barely awake was actually pretty loose and like almost maniac in terms of poker. He didn't play a ton of hands, but the hands he played, there was no breaks on the hand. He was getting all in if he chose to see the flop. So after getting up so many times, the guy in the 7 seat, who by the way, along the way told us he got banned from Hawaiian Gardens, so he's going to be playing Lake Elsinore for a while. He also kept saying he needs to play deeper. I thought, well, put more money on the table. No, he keeps asking about the 5-5 game, which is 300 big blinds max, $1,500 maximum at Lake Elsinore, and he keeps walking over to that table and like checking out the game for a minute and then coming back. This guy also asked for a table change from table 6 to table 10, got it, literally played one hand there, and then asked for a table change back. He couldn't sit still. He couldn't stand still. He had to keep moving. So eventually, it was probably like, I'm not kidding, the 20th time he got up from the table. He takes a few steps away, like he's going outside again, and then he turns around, and he returns to the table, and he says, okay, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Does anyone have cocaine? I knew he was on something. I thought he was joking though. I didn't think he would ask that out loud in the casino. He was not joking at all. No one answered him. And then he left. He went outside and his friend joined him. And eventually they both came back in. So never had someone ask at the table for it. There was once at Mandalay years ago, a guy, you could look at his face and see clear evidence that he just used it. Never had anyone openly ask, does anyone have any? And that guy was there the next day. I played for a while, left, came back. He was at the same table, which makes me think he was there all night just being hyper. So that was very interesting. Never heard that request before at the table.